This video is going to help us with our 7.1 worksheet. So we are changing these ratios from, the ratio, the fraction, to the decimal, to the percent. So if you remember from our notes, there's a couple ways we can do that. Sometimes it's just a nice number that goes into 100. Sometimes it's something we're going to have to think about and set that problem up. So percentages are always out of 100. So this is 7 out of 10. So my ratio is 7 out of 10. And I'm thinking about this as a decimal now. This is 7/10. So that means my tenths place is right here, one place after the decimal, 7/10. And then when I want the percentage, I'm moving this decimal two places. I made it 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger when I move it backwards. It's growing by 10 because our place value system works in groups of 10. Then another group of 10 times 10 is 100. So this is 70%. So it's not just 7, right? Because we're setting this up as a ratio to 100. How did I get from 10 to 100? I times by 10. So 7 times 10 is 70% or 0.7. Number 2 wants 2 out of 10. So I want you to try this one on your own. So set it up the ratio, change it to a decimal. It's a tenth, so it's one place after the decimal, and then make that a percent. You can either move the decimal 2 places back, or you can think, how do I set this to a ratio to 100 and move that there? So come back when you are ready for number 3. So number 3 says 93 out of 100. So my ratio is 93 over 100. So this one's a really nice one. It is already ready, set up for us. So now we want to change this to a decimal, which is 93 hundredths. So that decimal is 2 places after. So here's our tenths place and our hundredths place, 93 hundredths. I'm making my percent 10 100 times bigger. So this is 93%. 93 out of 100, 93 hundredths. 93% is 93 out of 100. So I want you to try number 4. So think this is only 3 hundredths. It is not going to look like this. I'll give you that hint. That is 3/10. I want 3 hundredths. So see if you can figure out that one and come back when you are ready for number 5. So number 5 tells us that we have 3 out of 5. So I'm going to write my ratio 3 out of 5. Now this isn't something that's ready to go for me, so I need to do some thinking and set this up proportionate to 100. Now 5 is a factor of 100, so I can count by 5s until I get to 100, or I can do 100 divided by 5, so it can't go into 1, so how many times does it go into the 10 and the 0, to see how did I get from 5 to 100. So that goes in there 2 times, which is 10, bringing down the 0, 5 goes into 0, 0 times. So to get from 5 to 100, I had to multiply it by 20. So that means 3 times 20 is 20, 40, 60. So this is 60 over 100, which now easily lets me do my decimal of 0.60 or 0.6, same thing. So these are equivalent because they both have a 6 in the tenths place. And then if I look at their hundredths place, there's nothing here and nothing here. So these are the same. So my decimal is 60 hundredths. My percent, making this 10 100 times bigger, is 60%. So something I know about fifths is every time I have a fifth, it actually equals 0.2. So 20, let me use my other hand, I'm not going to have enough fingers, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Each of those stands for 20%. So if I have 3 of those, 20, 40, 60. So fifths is one I've just learned to memorize. Okay, number 6, we have 13 out of 20. So I'm going to write my ratio, 13 over 20. And now I need to change this into 100. So 13 goes into 100 very nicely. Sorry, not 13, 20. 20 to 100, those are the bottom numbers. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So it went in there 5 times. So to get from 20 to 100, I times by 5. So now we need to take 13 times 5 and do that. And that's going to be our other part of our ratio. Then I can take that and turn it into a decimal and a percent. So go ahead and finish up that problem there. So number 7, we have another 13 out of 25. But since our bottom numbers, our denominators are not the same, I know my decimal and percent are not going to be the same. So I want to turn 25 into 100. So I know some of us hear 25, we're like, I don't know 25s, but you do. Quarters. Every time you hear 25, think of quarters. So 25, 50, 75, 100. So that went in there 4 times. So to get from 25 to 100, we times by 4. So we need to do the same thing to the top. 13 times 4 will give us the other part of our ratio. So these are proportional and equivalent. Change that to a decimal out of the hundreds place, and then make it 100 times bigger for your percent. Okay, let's look at number 8 here. We have 1 out of 4, and I want to turn that into 100. So I'm going to do this division problem here. So go ahead and do this with me. Actually, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let you do it. So when you do 100 divided by 4, that will see how many times did we get from 4 to 100. And this might be one quarters. Okay, so if you don't know that, go ahead and do the problem. And then 1 times that will give us that number here. So what we do to the bottom, we do to the top. Change that to a decimal. Change it to a percent. Let's go ahead and do number 8 and come back when you are ready for number 9. So number 9, we have 32 out of 50. So I know these sound like big numbers, but compared to 100, they're actually really nice numbers. So how do I get from 50 to 100? How many groups of 50 go into 100? Then we're going to do the same thing to 32. That will give us our other ratio piece. Change it to a decimal, change it to a percent. So once we know this ratio out of 100, it's really easy to find our decimal and percent. So when we have these factors, 5 goes into 100, 20 goes into 100, 25 does, 4 does, 50 does. When we have nice factors of 100, it's really easy just to say, how did I get from here to here, here to here? And do the same thing, and then fill that all out of 100. So go ahead and do number 9. Come back when you are ready for number 10. Okay, so these ones are going to be a little trickier because our last 3 are not factors of 100. So we need to do some thinking about how we want to do these. So our ratio to start is 5 out of 8. And I want it to be out of 100. And 8 does not go into 100 nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to a 1 first. So how do I get from 8 to 1? Well, I had to divide by 8. So I need to do the same thing here. So I am doing 5 divided by 8. And it's going to be a little decimal number. Right? I went smaller here. I need to go smaller here. And the small number's on the top. So I need something smaller than 1 up here. So every time we go, they should be proportionate no matter which direction. So 8 can't go into 5, but it goes into 56 times, which is 48. So go ahead and make sure you do this with me somewhere. Scratch paper on a board to practice this. So this goes 2, and bring down that 0. 8 goes into 22 times, which is 16, with 4 left over. And I don't want to just leave this here. A decimal is already a piece of a number. Here's another piece of a number. So we just want to add another 0 and see what happens here. So 8 goes into 40 5 times. So every time I have one piece of this ratio, it is 0.625. So now I'm asking myself, how do I get from 1 to 100? Well, 1 to 100 here. So I need to times this and make this bigger here. So I need to make this 100 times bigger. So I move my decimal back 10 100 times. So this is 62.5. So I need to think about this now. So I have 62.5 out of 100. I know the hundredths place is right here. I have 62 hundredths 0.5. I'm just going to add that on the end. So my decimal is actually this number right here. This decimal, we already figured it out. This is my decimal. Because I need to make it into the hundredths place. It's not 62.5. I know there's a decimal in there, so it can really trick us. But this decimal is here. This is 62 hundredths. 62 hundredths with another half of a hundredth. So 625 thousandths is our decimal. So now my percent is I'm making it 10 100 times bigger. My percent is 62.5%. So here, this number here, let me grab a highlighter. So this number here is our percent, 62.5, 62.5. And this one here out of 1 is our decimal. This is how much I have out of one whole thing for a decimal. And then that as a percent out of 100, 62.5 out of 100. So a decimal is really saying how much do we have out of one whole thing? And then a percent is out of 100. So we want our decimal to go into the hundredths place because a percent is out of 100. Okay, so let's try this one here. And we're going to use the proportion strategy this time. So this time we use the unit rate. Now let's go back and use our proportion strategy. So as a ratio, we have, let me get my pen back. We have 9 out of 12, and I want that to be 100. So if I'm counting by 12s, I say 96, I say 108, I do not say 100. So I am looking for this proportion number right here. So I can rewrite this problem. 9 times 100 is 900. And that equals 7 times p is 7 p's. And I want to get this p all by itself. I just want one of these. Down here I have 12. I just want 1. So I'm going to divide by 12 on both sides. 12 divided by 12 is 1. So now I just have 1 p. And I'm going to divide by 12 here to see what is that p. So we need to do 900 divided by 12. So I need something above the 9, the 0, and the other 0. So 12 cannot go into 9. It goes into 97 times. 7 times 12 is, it's left me. Oh man, okay. I'm making this kind of early in the morning and I don't think my brain's working yet. So 7 times 2 is 14. 7, 8, plus, so they're 84. I was going to say 74 and I knew that wasn't right. Okay, 84. Left over is 6. Bring down the 0. 12 goes into 60 5 times. So this is, my percent here is 75 over 100. So remember, this out of 100 goes straight to our percent. So as a decimal, it's 0.75 hundredths. And as a percent, I made this 10 100 times bigger, 75%. So if you're using this unit rate, remember the unit is your decimal, And then out of 100 is your percent. So I could actually, I could not even do this part right here and just take it to the 1. Say, oh, here's my decimal. Make it 100 times bigger. Let's actually try that on this last one. So we have 7 out of 8. Oh, I'm writing with a very fat marker all of a sudden. So 7 out of 8, and I want that to equal 100. And I don't know that. So we know 8 does not nicely go into 100. So how do I get from 8 to 1? I divide it by 8, so I'm going to do the same thing here. And I'm going to do 7 divided by 8. So I know it can't go into the 7. And then there's my decimal. And I need at least 2 numbers here. I might have to do a third if we need to bring down another 0. So 8 goes into 70 8 times, which is 64. Subtracting is 6, bringing down that 0. 8 goes into 67 times, which is 56. Left over is 4, so I can bring down another 0. I have 40. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So this ratio is every time I have 1, I have 0.875. Remember, this is our decimal. Our decimal is 0.875, 875 thousandths, 87 hundredths, and another half of 1. So as a percent, I bring it over 10, 100 places. I made it 100 times bigger, 87.5%. So there's a lot of ways you can do these. We can take it to the unit and then apply that unit to make it 100. I can just straight up go and cross multiply and set up that proportion to see what's missing out of 100. Sorry, I just got a squeaky voice. Good thing this is the end. Or I can just take it to the unit and then use that unit to do my decimal, right? The unit is the decimal. The 100 is the percent. Unit is a decimal. 100 is the percent. Okay, so go ahead and finish up that worksheet and let me know if you have any other questions on that.